Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I am your host, Stacy Brown.
And happy holidays, everybody. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving holiday weekend. I'm your co host, Niele. And of course, we're back at it with these headlines that mainstream media may not be talking about, but the Black community around the Thanksgiving table, we was talking about all this, okay?
Were you?
Yeah, some of the conversation was about Donald Trump. Luckily, we don't have any Trumpsters at the table, so the conversation was mostly about his ass.
Oh gosh. Well, it's a lot going on. It's constantly stuff going on. We was talking prior to us going on air to Neo, obviously, and talked about all of the so much that this Trump clan is doing, and part of their strategy has been to just throw so much out there to distract you, so that you would just focus on something that might be less important
Hmm.
than what they're doing. For instance, I mentioned to you, Neil, the Venezuela situation, just
Right.
sinking, blowing up both civilians. These are families in some cases who have no dog in any fight whatsoever, and
Hmm.
blowing them up. But it turns out, I should say, that it's to provoke Venezuela into a war with the United States.
Yeah, it's scary because it's like you vaguely see these headlines about Venezuela. You see no headlines about what's happening in Nigeria, the Congo, Sudan. We don't hear much about Gaza anymore. And you might hear some headlines about strides moving forward in Ukraine, but all of these stories impact us. And for some reason, or for the reason that the Trump administration has planned, they think that they're going to throw so much stuff at us that we're going to lose track and just try to figure out how to work AI, I guess. I don't
I guess. Well, you know what I didn't do this morning, Niele, was check in with our producer and see if she has anything for us. This is
This
what
is
I'm talking
Tawanda
about.
from PTN Petty Television News. So nobody's going to ask? Wow. All right, then. Caroline, sweetie, enlighten us. What's the official statement on your brother's baby mama getting detained under your boss's immigration policy? Because I know y'all love to talk tough on border security until it's in your own group.
But here's what I'm wondering, because y'all get real loud about immigrants. Wait up until Thanksgiving when the family group chat turns into ICE Anonymous. All right, that's enough. I'm not done. Please stand up. Standing. You're the one moving me. Let go.
know.
But you know what? See, first of all, I love the title. It was Petty News. I love it. But secondly, this is what I said. Caroline Levitt's brother's baby mama. What is the real deal behind that? Now, her attorneys did come out with a statement saying that pretty much that she has no animosity toward the Levitt family and that they are cool or whatever. I think he's just saying that because he has to.
Right. Yeah. That was Jasmine Canick. We've had her on the show several times, and that is her alter ego. I think it's Tawanda or something. And so she's taking on these stories that you're talking about, but she's doing it from a place where she couldn't do it in her professional capacity. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of us, and she said over the weekend that she's hit over 1 million views from her AI character alone. And so, I think we're all rethinking how we approach, how we use AI as a tool for work, but also as a tool to, bring more financial stability in our homes. Because why should only the white boys be able to play and monetize on it? We should be able to do it too. So we need to get into the program. And I applaud Jasmine what she's doing because I'm like, well, who is going to be my alter ego?
You trying to figure that one out?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have her name,
Oh,
but she's gonna be more because I love pop culture and working with the Shade Room. I'm able to, have a little fun. So, I'm thinking about all of that. Should I make a song? You know what I'm saying? Should I make a mini movie? You know what I mean? Should I do like a relationship one and create, a guy? I don't know, but I'm trying to figure it out because Jasmine is on to something.
well. I guess I better start learning how to work that AI stuff, huh?
When I was in DC with the state lawmakers, Google actually did a presentation about Genesis, their tool for AI. And I played with it over the weekend because I had to do some projects, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm not working smarter. I'm continuing to work harder, and everybody else is into this AI. They're using it. I need to get with the train. And so that workshop that I attended, and then seeing Jasmine thriving in AI, I'm like, say less.
Oh gosh. Well, another thing that's happening, we talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene last week and her leaving Congress, but Republican infighting is getting harder to hide. And now, just after Marjorie Taylor Greene said she was quitting Congress in January, Texas Representative Republican Rep Troy Niele announced that he is also leaving. Many have predicted a wave of GOP exits after Marjorie bolted, but lawmakers have privately been fuming, according to several reports, about being reduced to rubber stamps for Donald Trump, with the president's sinking poll numbers, a sour economy, and a record of failure dragging the entire party. More departures may follow as Republicans complain about retaliation from the White House for even mild dissent. And the other thing with that, I also am starting to believe, because I was watching, I don't know how recent it was, but I was watching when Pete Hegseth was before a congressional committee, and they were lighting him up. And the idea that if the Democrats do take over next year, Mike Johnson did mention this too. He's afraid of this too, that if they win both the House and the Senate, and they win by large numbers, which last month's, and I can say last month because it's December 1st already, last month's election showed that there's a possibility that if this continues, there will be a true blue wave, that Trump will be out of office by January. And they fear that these Democrats are going to start punishing them, putting them on trial, putting them in prison where they belong, many of them. And so they are running scared. They're starting to run a little scared.
Well, let's look at the stats. So in total, 47 congressional lawmakers, 20 Democrats and 27 Republicans are not seeking re-election. And of that group, 20 are retiring, while 27 are seeking a higher or different office. And then you also have the pool that are just tired of the shift in politics in this country to where it's more volatile. Nancy Pelosi, her husband was attacked. And so, she has to be concerned about what she says, because if she says the wrong thing, Donald Trump could attack her, which might invoke some Trumpsters to go after them. So it's not just the Republican side. It's like Democrats have to pay attention too of how many are leaving, because guess what? They can't get anything done. And the private sector is offering more money and more like just less drama for them. And so it's not just Republicans, Democrats have to be concerned too, because although, some of this redistricting is being curved, we're going to talk about a story a little later in the show about another state that is moving forward with redistricting, and it's a red state. So it's just a lot happening on both sides. And with Democrats and horrible talking points, it'll be interesting to see how, we're less than now, Stacy, we're less than a year away from the midterm elections. We can say that now, less than a year away.
And the criminality that is in our face on a regular basis is just unbelievable. And I do think that you're right about both sides, but I do think that more of the Republican side, they may be thinking about the criminality, that they don't want to get caught up, because if this thing does turn the other way, they're thinking, and now Democrats hasn't shown that they even have the, because they want to play this, above the fray type thing, that they go low, we go high type crap. But they're afraid, some of them, I believe, are afraid that this thing goes left, literally, that they will have to face some sort of criminal charges.
And to your point, the president of JP Chase Morgan was speaking with the news outlet over the weekend, and the journalist asked him, did he donate to Trump's ballroom, to JP Chase Morgan? And he said no. And it's to the point of what you're saying. The reason why he said no was because in the long run, JP Chase Morgan doesn't want to be investigated or catch any lawsuits, because a lot of the things that these private sectors, the tech companies and these banking companies, what they're doing is illegal. And they said, JP Chase Morgan says they follow a very strict rules and regulations booklet that they have, and that's it. That is a part of our government, and that could be illegal. Investing in that Trump ballroom to get something that's illegal, and so he said, "No, we're not doing that."
Good for them. Good for JP Morgan Chase. RNG BL says that now we all see why Admiral Alvin Halsey, commander of U.S. Southern Command, stepped down. He wasn't going to give illegal orders. That commercial from the 6 Congress people makes sense. Jamie Dimon, is his name. Shonda H says from JP Morgan Chase. But you're seeing some things going on here. Like I said, I just think that we see so much corruption that is to the point where in part of your point earlier, that so much is not getting reported.
Right. Big Cheese, what is WS? What does WS stand for? I'm interested in knowing what that stands for. Put it in
I
chat.
would imagine white supremacist, but that does not.
Oh,
surprise.
White supremacist. Okay.
Yeah. David Childs, good morning to Professor David Childs. He says, keep up the great work.
Hey, Professor. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yeah, it's good to see Dr. Childs on here. Very, very nice. Federal tax refunds, Niele, are expected to increase in 2026, with analysts projecting an average check of approximately $4,151 for the filing season of 2026. That is roughly $1,000 more than taxpayers received this year. But the windfall, of course, is far from equal. Professional review indicates that households earning between $60,000 and $400,000 will capture the largest share of the gains. The Tax Policy Center found that Americans earning more than $217,000 collect 6 of every $10 from the new tax breaks in the July law. So the windfall goes to the haves for the most part, not the have-nots.
Of course it does. And so these little trinkets that they keep putting in, like I was sharing with you earlier about Social Security, and it's saying that starting next month, you're going to see a difference. And it's saying that you're going to get like 2% more. But I'm like, does that really benefit folks? Or what is like on the back end, what is going to happen? And how long is it sustainable? How long is it going to last? Because you can't trust anything coming out of this administration. Can't trust a word that they say, because it's here today and then tomorrow it's something else.
Right. Exactly. 100%. There's nothing about this administration you can trust. So it's just like, I was talking to somebody even about the FDA with these new regulations on different things, and CDC. I don't trust anything, especially when it comes to CDC stuff and FDA stuff. Crazy Kennedy running those type of things. Are you kidding me?
The forever chemical pesticides. I saw a video this weekend that a man had a kernel of corn, and he rinsed it off in the water. They were like, the water's not bad. Then he boiled it in water, and the pot's not good. Then he put it on the grill and stuff, the stuff in the can for the grill. And it's like, that is exactly what you're talking about. It is everything that, former administrations, including Republicans, have done to curb and make things healthy for us so we don't have to purchase organic, which is extremely expensive. I mean, the Trump administration is getting rid of all of that.
Yeah.
All of it.
By the way, I don't know if you see Orangey taunting you over here, Niele, about
Yeah, I mean,
Grambling.
that was horrible. I mean, the Grambling led all the way past halftime, and I don't know if it was Glorilla. They got too carried away and just was like Glorilla, and they lost focus of the game. But 1 point, what was it, 28-27? You know, but congratulations to the Jaguars, and it was so exciting to see the timeline and the news just giving the Bayou Classic so much love and amplifying the step show, the battle of the Glorilla did it because nobody was really talking about Juvenile with the jukebox. Nobody was talking about Juvenile. Everybody was talking about Glorilla. Okay.
What were you talking about, Orangey? Were you talking about Juvenile with the jukebox, or were you talking about Glorilla? Well, they still talking about her appearance changing.
Okay, Stacy, but on Saturday, it wasn't about her appearance.
It was about her. Okay.
It was about her coming out with the orchesis. They had a whole routine. And, you know, she did that. She did that for GSU. And we were on every platform. We were on TMZ, The Shade Room, Neighborhood Talk, Hollywood Unlocked. The news was talking about it. So thank you, Glorilla, for amplifying GSU. I thought you knew. Orangey.
Oh, shucks. Dr. Childs says, happy holidays to you all. You all are often the only island of sanity in a sea of incompetence. He said, there is nothing about this administration that we can trust. Dr. Marilyn was cheering for SU.
I'm not going to hold it against her or Shonda. I'm really not. I'm not going to hold it against them. But it's all love.
Oh boy! So they came ready this Monday morning with their SU Jags. All right.
Okay, I'm not mad at y'all.
But I don't have a dog in the fight, but I've always loved Grambling for one reason and one reason only: the great coach,
Eddie Robinson.
Eddie Robinson, yeah. Oh, there she go with the Michael Jackson outfit on.
Okay, she had the colors on. She was with the orchesis. We were getting it in. It's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees. She did that.
Wow. I gotta go back and watch that with the band and everything and the whole dance troupe. That looks pretty cool.
She took over.
Orangey says
nobody's talking about Juvenile. Nobody, even though he's from my era. Nobody's talking about Juvenile.
Okay.
So we got to win somewhere. Oh, and the Kappas. The Kappas won the Greek show. I don't know what females won, what sorority won, but I know that the Kappas won the Greek show.
Oh, okay. The green, they're what, green and gold, aka.
AKAs are pink and green.
Pink and green. Right. Okay. I knew green was in there
gold
somewhere.
And black is alphas, red and white is kappas, and purple and gold is omega psi phi, and crimson and cream is delta sigma theta.
Yeah.
And then the phi beta sigmas, as well as the what are zeta phi betas, they're blue and white. And then you got the sigma gamma rhos, and all of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And Dr. Marilyn said Grambling is the best halftime. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so here's something that I found to be very interesting. It's not surprising, but interesting nonetheless. Teenagers say that they do not trust the news at all, Niele. They think reporters are biased, sloppy, and working in an industry that looks like it's dying. In a survey by the News Literacy Project, 84% of teens describe today's media with words like biased, fake, boring, bad, and confusing. More than half believe journalists flat out break the rules by inventing details, paying sources for twisting images. Fewer than 1 in 3 believe reporters fix mistakes, check facts, or use more than one source, even though those are the basic standards of real journalism. So news has lost teenagers, apparently.
Right. But as a teen, I don't remember watching much news. You know,
Neither,
back
yeah,
then
well,
it
I
was
did actually.
boring. Back then, well, I'm just being honest. Back then,
No, I
as a
know.
teen, it was just there was nothing on unless like there was a headline about Disneyland or something that resonated me. As teens, I don't think they're really big news watchers, but I think we also adapt our parents' habits and the things we hear our parents say
Mhm.
are a direct response of how we shape our opinions and what we say. So that sounds like a lot of parents talking to me.
Well, it also sounds like again, you see a president attack the news media, constantly calling reporters Miss Piggy and other
Mhm.
things out their names, suing news organizations for stuff that if they fought and they had a even playing ground in court, there's no way that the president would ever have won any money from these folks. But they're just paying him. He is ordering what can be and cannot be reported out of the Pentagon. And pretty much they have locked down the White House to just a select few that they will call on to ask questions, those that they have approved of.
Mhm.
So I think that teenagers are woefully misinformed. um you go on this fake news because he creates these mantras. Fake news, we never, fake news was a thing long before Trump, but we never really talked about it until Trump, right? But he has cast this whole attack on media. And I think when these teenagers go into their barbershops, which is a huge problem even in our communities, what do they have on? Fox News, right?
Mhm.
And they're getting all of this crazy bad information constantly. They go into the doctor's office. What do they have on? Fox News. This bad fake information. And so they're lumping it all. Okay, so we can't trust any of them.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but I think about Fox, and it's Roger Ailes, who's now deceased. But he was the brainchild that created the monster of Donald Trump. And if you don't know, there is a really good series about the formation of how Fox News started, the role that Roger Ailes played, and all of this trust that Rupert Murdoch put in this man's hand and made him billions of dollars. But all of this that we're talking about is the brainchild of Roger Ailes. It's
Mhm.
like Frankenstein, the doctor that created Frankenstein. Roger Ailes was the doctor that created Donald Trump.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
so when you
so,
say all of that, it just
mhm,
makes me think of him.
yeah. And you always got haters, but I will say this, that fake news is NBC as well. It is the Washington Post as well. I mean, they all have capitulated to this tyranny that we see. And
And
so
also, yeah, and also ownership matters because look at who owns these companies now. They don't have a sense of integrity or respect for
mhm,
news. They
mhm.
have respect for their pockets, and right now Donald Trump is feeding their pockets. And so it's just it's an entire shift of how newsrooms operate on integrity, and just going back to you know uh experience and tenure. Like most black owned newspapers are owned by older people who
Mhm.
understand the history of this country and who understand the importance of making sure that the truth is told. And so with saying all that, if you want to find the truth, it's looking like it's going to go back to a struggling but still important institution known as the Black Press.
Absolutely. And to that fact, there it was a report, and it was just in December of last year, so a year ago, there was this report about just that, Niele. And I'm trying to find a woman's name who was behind the report and the organization that was behind the report. Here, it's Anita Varmer. She did
Mhm.
an analysis, I should say, for Giving Compass, and it showed that again, solidarity is a commitment. She talked about solidarity type news, and she talks about how that's found in the Black press. She says Black people for half a century has called for more factual reporting that reflects their actual lives. And so it's a really good study that she did that bears out your point about the Black press.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like I said, it's struggling, but it's still necessary and thriving because of its importance. And Greer talks a lot all the time about doing more investigative journalism, but that takes funding. And that type of funding is just not there. So, if you know of anybody or any funders, we're trying to do some more, take deeper dives into the conversations that we have. And so, support the Black press. If you know anybody that wants to fund and keep authentic, pure journalism alive within the Black community, hit us up in our inboxes. We would love the support.
Yeah, and one last note from my part, Nancy Wall, she says it's all about power and control from this administration, not truth and facts. Why would you pardon a drug trafficker and then blow up drug boats, alleged drug boats, we should say, Nancy? And she says impeach him.
Yes, for sure. And Shonda had an update for us. The Deltas from Southern won the sorority step show competition. They came in first place, and AKAs got second this year.
Yeah, and RNG mentions, along with the story that we're talking about too, Niele, he mentions once the media stopped fact checking in real time, he says they lost everyone with an IQ over 100. Yesterday was the worst. ABC, CBS, and NBC let the same woman from the Trump administration just flat out lie, and that is so true. You don't call nobody out.
Right.
You have an obligation if you're going to air or write this crazy narrative, you have to call out what's factual.
Right. You have to do it. And we have, speaking of lies and the impact of this Trump clan, the Trump administration has announced that it's moving forward with plans to strip thousands of Haitians of their temporary protected status, despite also acknowledging that certain conditions in the country remain concerning. Now, temporary protected status for Haitian migrants will expire on February 3rd, and it's a move that will impact more than 352,000 Haitians.
Wow. Yeah. Well, again, for anyone to argue anything other than racism when it comes to this administration, it's just your head is buried in the sand, or you just too far up his butt to see it. So
yeah, and I mean, these are things that are coming January. I think more people are going to feel the truth, because we're talking about fake news and lies, but the truth, is going to hit hard in a very harsh way for a lot of Americans come January. And in more election news, as we talk about, we're less than a year away from the midterms. North Carolina Republicans have won a federal redistricting battle, with the move likely flipping long held by Black Democrats. Now, this congressional map could jeopardize a seat currently led by Black leadership. We're talking about Rep. Don Davis, who represents over 20 counties in the district, with Black predecessors keeping that position for over 3 decades. Now, the ruling has dismissed a lawsuit filed by the NAACP and voters. And so, although the Court of Appeals overturned what happened in Texas, you still have other states like North Carolina moving forward with redistricting. And with the top story that we had about, retiring Republicans and Democrats, this also plays a part in the big scheme of things.
Yeah, well, and that was the goal from the start, and that was why it was so important when Gavin Newsom and California pushed back immediately. And again, what California did was the right way. They put it to the voters. And I think that's why you can't as much as they want to challenge what California is doing, well, the voters approved it.
Yeah, we decided that. We all went to the polls and said, this is what we want. We want to help our nation hold the line for as much democracy as we could preserve. And while you have these red states, you see how they operate. And we're talking with Black state legislators. I mean, the fight that they have, you can understand why some of these people are stepping down. It is brutal. You had a Black woman locked in the state capitol in Texas, locked her up. Okay. Yep. And so these types of things, the death threats that they get. Okay. She also talked about, I'm talking about Rep. Nicole Collier out of Texas. She also talked about how when they fled Texas, how their hotels received bomb threats.
Yeah. Yeah.
All because of Donald Trump and something that started with Roger Ailes and Fox News. We're going to follow it, go down that rabbit hole. But in more news about what's impacting us, a Texas mother, a Black woman, has died after being denied abortion care. Now, 37-year-old Tierra Walker pleaded with doctors for an abortion due to her serious medical illness. Now, she had already lost twins. She had some real ailments, and she knew something was wrong in her body. Okay. And the doctors ignored her because, according to a new investigation by ProPublica, she marks the fourth case in Texas since the state enacted its abortion ban. So women, and I'm not just talking about Black women, because we've seen what has been happening to a lot of them, but just women in general are being denied health care. Sometimes abortion, like it or not, is a form of health care because people have ailments. Women have ailments in their body. Her life could have been saved if she was able to have that abortion. And because they didn't take the baby, she died. And now there's a family and children that are motherless, a mother without a daughter, all because of the Trump Klan administration.
Yeah. The brutal pain and everything else that they've inflicted, not just domestically, but internationally, with USAID allowing hundreds of thousands of little kids to die. Just think about that. Along with this, how does one support that? It's just beyond comprehension.
Yeah, I just that conversation, like, look at those signs. Abortion saved my life. Abortion is healthcare, and it's like, we all know, like, abortion should not be used for a form of contraceptive. You just shouldn't get pregnant and just, but that is also a woman's personal choice. And so it's like, it's really gross when you think about how, and I'm talking to particularly white men, how they want to control a woman's body. You want to control what I do with my body. My body, my right. Who are you? And it's white men. It's other people too, but for the most part, it's white men, because that's who the Trump Klan administration is. They don't have many women in their administration that are making decisions. They are trying to tell us what we can and cannot do with our body. Do we tell them when they can have a vasectomy? Do we tell them what to do with their man parts? No, we don't. Yeah. Get off our bodies. And if that is anything, I'm sorry to say, but if that is anything a white woman should stand up for, all them white Republican women, if that's one thing that should make you vote against a Republican, it should be, you should be able to do whatever you want to do with your body.
That is one of the many, but one of the many, many diabolical things that they have done is to say that they have the right to control what a woman, like you said, does with her body.
And it's white men. That's what's like mind-boggling to me. Why are you so concerned about what I'm doing with my body? What is wrong with you?
And any black man who supports that is forgetting totally about this is what part of what slavery was about too. They controlled our women's bodies and everything else.
And so it's just insane. And like I say, I understand, I understand. I do about, both sides of it. But at the end of the day, it's a woman's right to choose. And 9 chances out of 10, you don't have women out here just using abortions as a form of contraceptives. Now, is there a small percentage? Yes. But majority of women are not using abortions as a form of contraceptive. And there are women out here who are dying because they can't get the health care they need because white men want to tell women what to do with their bodies. I mean, come on, people. White men are telling women, white, black, red, yellow, and brown, what they can and cannot do with their bodies, while men can go out here like Nick Cannon and everybody else and make 15, 20 babies. And okay, Nick Cannon may be able to take care of his babies, but it's some men out here who are having 15 and 20 babies, and they're not mandated to take care of their kids. They can get away with not paying child support. Maybe we should snip them and say, if you have more than 3, maybe we should say, if you have more than 3 kids and you are not taking care of them, then we're going to snip it. You're going to have to get a vasectomy because you're not taking care of your kids.
Would you stop all that cursing?
I'm not cursing. I ain't said a curse word. But if you have, what if we told y'all that, Stacy, if you have more than 3 kids and you can't take care of the 3 you have, you don't pay child support, you don't contribute to that woman's household, then you're going to have a vasectomy. Or you're going to have to go to prison.
You get a vasectomy. You get.
But see, that's funny to you. That's
funny.
It's funny.
It's funny, not ha ha. But I mean, listen. I get what you're saying. I get it. And so
dying.
Right. And men. And so your point is well taken. Men wouldn't want that to be imposed upon them. Right. Men would want the opportunity to say yes or no to a vasectomy or whatever, right? So you should give the women the same right.
Right. I mean, and it's just that simple. No more Viagra.
They actually laying down the law for y'all dudes.
I
mean, it's true.
But that's what they're doing to us. That's what they're doing to us. They're laying down the law. They're taking away, and then they do things like get rid of Planned Parenthood. Mm-hmm. Where Planned Parenthood, we know the history of Planned Parenthood. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But today, let's talk about today. Today, Planned Parenthood does more for women in healthcare services than just abortion clinics. Way more. Absolutely. Percentages way higher of what they do and how they service communities of color and women of color with the healthcare needs. It's not an abortion clinic, okay? Do they provide those services? Yes, they do. Do hospitals provide Viagra? Yes, they do. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. It's like men are telling us what to do with our bodies, but they can go and do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, as Dr. Nicole says, and I think Dr. Marilyn says it later too, that some believe it's because they really want to prevent white women from ending their pregnancy since they want to increase the population. And Dr. Marilyn, by the way, she says, as the late Dr. Francis Cress Weisland said, white men are afraid of white annihilation. They are afraid of their race being extinct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what this is
and Greer
all about.
says, and they are still paying for these men to get vaginas. Oh.
Wow. Okay. Okay, well that went around the corner and up the block. Okay.
We land this plane
exactly.
She landed the plane. She said, y'all still up there taxiing. Let me just land this thing.
Okay. Okay. But yeah,
Oh,
get up
God.
off our bodies, man. You know, we know how to make the decisions that are best for our bodies. You know, back up. And praying for that family, praying for Tierra Walker's family and then the other women who have been impacted, especially Black women, by lack of health care and concern from white folks.
Yeah. Wow. That's a shame. Man. Dr. Marilyn says white people care less about Black abortions, but more about white abortions, but they can't say this, she says. True.
And Shonda says Planned Parenthood has the most utilized source for Black women seeking abortion. Nearly 40% of abortions are Black women.
Yeah, I have not seen that stat. I don't know where it originates from. I'm pretty sure Shonda H knows what she's talking about. But
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, when the percentage could be low overall, but you know, it's that concept of when white folks catch a cold, black people catch pneumonia. Our statistics are always higher in anything. So I hate to say it, that's bad. You know, homelessness. You know, we only make up 13%, but we might be 35% of the homeless population. So I could see that, but you know, to your point, Stacy, yeah, I haven't seen that statistic either. But it's just our body, all right. And let's head to the Bahamas, okay? Where former NBA champion, switch it up a little bit, Rick Fox is launching his bid for Parliament in the Bahamas. Now, the ex-Laker says he wants to bring transparency, economic modernization, and renewed opportunities for the Bahamas. Now, if you're wondering, what is Fox doing in the Bahamas? Well, he was born in Toronto to a Canadian mother, and he has a Bohemian father and spent most of his childhood on the island. And so he has some history on the island.
Yeah, the former husband of Vanessa Williams.
Yes, I guess he wants to be the new Shine. You know, Shine got out of prison, went back to Belize, and you know, is a huge leader over there. And so it looks like Rick Fox wants to do the same for the Bahamas.
All right, you go, Rick.
And last but not least, I'll end on a pop culture note. Star Search is returning, Stacy, and it's going to be live on Netflix. Now,
Ed McMahon.
Yeah, it was originally hosted by Ed McMahon, but the new host is Anthony Anderson. There'll be live voting with the revamped format. And the competitions will be musicians, dancers, comedians, and kids act kind of like before. And shout out to Jesse Collins, who was EPing. His team is known for doing the Super Bowl halftime show, the Emmys, the Grammys. I don't know if they've done the Academy Awards, but Jesse Collins is and the BET Awards. Jesse Collins is a big deal, African American, and he gets all the big gigs. So congratulations to him. And Anthony Anderson, and we'll see what new stars come out of this edition of Star Search, because we had Beyonce, we had Usher, we had Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, and so many under Ed McMahon. So now we'll see what Anthony Anderson does.
So Gria says she did her assignment and she watched the Eddie Murphy documentary, and it was great, she says.
Oh, good. Okay, good. It was. I had.
So, folks, did y'all watch? I mean, Niele gave out the homework assignments last week. So I guess you could tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, I mean, if you still got, hey, it is the holiday season, so you got plenty of time to binge watch. But yes, the Eddie Murphy was good. Now this weekend, I binge watched The Last Holiday, and then I went back and watched the final chapter. That is always a good binge watch. Have you watched that, Stacy? No.
No. But I'm kind of with Orange G. He says bring back Showtime at the Apollo, and maybe I would watch TV again. Showtime at the Apollo.
That was another classic talent show that Steve Harvey took over. And you know, he made it a hit, and so maybe Anthony Anderson is in the spot to do the same thing.
And how about Def Comedy Jam? Remember
Oh
that?
yeah, they've tried to revamp that
They
several
did.
times. Was
Yeah.
in the Comic View as well. I don't think the funny is funny in it like it did back in the day.
Oh no, it's not. I think you're right. I mean, you remember Martin Lawrence used to host it, and it was just it was absolutely hilarious. And David Childs, Dr. Childs says that he really enjoyed the Eddie Murphy documentary. He really liked the role Charlie Murphy played in Eddie's life. He found that intriguing.
I mean, so many jewels dropped that you didn't know, you know. And Dr.
Mhm.
Marilyn said, "Yes, I watched it. It was good, Niele." I'm glad, you know. I mean, it was. You learned so much, and I think you have a more profound respect for Eddie Murphy and the art that he brings to the table. I mean,
Mhm.
because really, you know, he was saying that I'm more than a comedian. I'm an actor, and I
I
take
think.
you out on I take you on a journey. I have depth. I can
Mhm.
play 4 and 5 characters. Name me an actor that has done that. And when you think about it, it's like he's right.
Yeah, I think that you know, I refer to him as comedian first, and
He
it's
would
not an
laugh.
insult. Well, what?
He would give
Well,
you that laugh.
right, but it's not. I get it, but he has to understand too. From some anyway, I'm sure others will use that as an insult that you're just a comedian. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just think comedian first because that's how I was introduced to Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy,
Right.
but like you said, he's more than proven his depth. So
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate to say the entertainer, Eddie Murphy.
Right. Right.
So,
And I think that's what he wanted to remind us of.
and here's
Right.
Greer.
I want to jump in there and add something that was brought out during his time when after Eddie came in the door. He opened the door not just for comedians but for Black artists in general, right? Because remember, and it's still this way, sadly, you know, but you know there could only be one, and so when that was something that was talked about in the documentary about you know what was taking place at that time in terms of entertainment. You know, you had Whitney Houston, who was major, who became a major star also during that era that he came about. But you know, typically in the past, it could only be like one Black entertainer. You know, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what he was able to bring at such an early age in his life, you know, was quite extraordinary. You know what I'm saying? We would just be still doing the, you know, only there's only space for one type thing.
Right.
Right. Yeah, he
That's a good point.
definitely yeah, and all those things were brought up in the documentary. It was well put together. It was well put together. So
Well,
that you guys watch it over the holidays if you can. I'm telling you, once you push play, it kind of brings you in and you'll just watch the whole thing.
push play, she says.
Push play.
Wasn't there like a song or something or a movie? Just push play. Dr. Child says, "Hey Greer, so great to see you. Such a great point, especially the idea of there could be only one. Definitely a reality of the times. That is a reality. That was a reality, right? She's right. No matter where you look, it can only be one. And Dr. Nicole says he was putting Black people on well before Tyler Perry and did it much, much better. Eddie's movies are classics, she says.
Right. 48 hours. I mean, he talked about doing that. And I mean, it go on and on. It has so many great points. Like Greer just pointed out. He talked about all of that. And it's just like it's a nostalgia, it's a great nostalgia watch. But also just reminder of, you know, the Gen X is the best generation. I'm sorry, but we got the best of both worlds. Best, yeah, we got the best
thing
of
with
both worlds.
Eddie, Richard Pryor, Robin Harris, I say has to go in that category too. Who, for me, they got on screen or on a stage before they did or said anything, you laughed.
Right.
You just laughed because you knew you were in for something really special. Because
I mean,
I
Eddie
remember,
Murphy's laugh alone would make you laugh.
well, his
That
laugh,
laugh.
yeah, his laugh is legendary. But just at the sight of them walking, I remember going to see 48 Hours, and you know, I was still young. I was a teenager, but um, I just remember when they showed him on screen, it's like immediately you laughed.
Right.
Delirious, like the real breakthrough, perhaps the best stand-up in history, arguably. Um, he walks on stage with that red suit on, and it's like, what in the world? This tight leather red suit. Why
And
is
they
this
talked
dude
about
wearing this?
that. They talked about, that leather suit. They talked about that in it as well. And just, on a good note, since we're talking about comedians and Richard Pryor, today, Richard Pryor was born today in 1940. So it's good we're
Wow.
talking about him. His legacy still lives on. And Eddie Murphy talks about he has a nice chunk about Richard Pryor, and of course, like him getting the role of Trading Places, and it was supposed to go to Richard Pryor, and even how he played a clip of how Richard Pryor felt about him and how he was able to do Harlem Nights, and it's just really good. And happy heavenly birthday to Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor was probably the best to ever do it. The whole JoJo dancer thing, what made that so impressive was that him reenacting what happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
That whole with the crack pipe or whatever it was blowing up and catching him on fire and stuff, and live on the set. I mentioned, Delirious is probably arguably the greatest stand-up ever. But when you say that, you got to compare it to Live on the Sunset Strip, Richard Pryor. Those two, no one can touch.
Right.
They can't. No one could come close. And like you said, to your point earlier, when I mentioned the Def Comedy Jam, comedians and those, they just don't have it like they used to.
But see, that is what, working with somebody like a J. Anthony Brown, just like watching, the true craft of a real comedian. The funniest shit that happens is from their personal life.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
For them to be able to make fun of the things that happen to them in their life, it makes for the best material. And
Mhm.
so, a lot of times, you see comedians now and they're making this shit up, and that happens too. But the funniest things, when Paul Mooney, when Dick Gregory, Dick Gregory talked a lot about politics, but they had a niche of what they were known
Right.
for. It's hard to find that. Like, you see that in Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is brilliant to me, and
Yeah,
how
oh yeah,
he
oh yeah.
put together a show, and how what he starts with, he'll take you on an hour and a half journey, and then when he closes, it's exactly what he started with. I mean, the
Right.
way
He
he
brings it back. Yep.
brings it all together. Chris Rock, smart, savvy comedian. And speaking of comedians, Kevin Hart just dropped a special this weekend. I haven't watched it yet. I want to take a look at it because he always surprises me with the laughs. I'm always like, but when I watch it,
I don't find myself to be too intrigued with Kevin Hart. I mean, I'm not saying he's not good or anything like that. I just don't. A lot of people find him to be hilarious, etc. It's something about him that just doesn't do it for me.
but
But
you know
Dave
what?
Chappelle,
His movies, Kevin
Mhm.
Hart makes some hilarious
well, he made a really good
movies.
movie, and it was, gosh, it was. I saw it not too long ago. It's not a new movie, but where he played pretty much a serious role with his brother. He was playing
Oh, with
uh,
Wesley Snipes. It was with
with
Wesley
Wesley
Snipes.
Snipes.
That was
That's
really
it.
good. It was
That was
funny,
good.
but it was a serious
It was
movie.
serious, right?
Yeah. He makes
That
great
was good.
movies. You have to give it to Kevin Hart. He makes some gut busting, funny movies.
Yeah,
And that's what made me pay attention to some of his comedy shows, because his movies are hilarious.
yeah. Pullman Kid. and others mentioned the laugh, and how I guess they were commercializing the laugh, and he just dumped the laugh. So
Mm.
commercialized that.
Oh
Dr.
yeah,
Cal
he
said,
talked about that
and
too.
commodify. Yeah.
He talked about that too. Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to move on this. Give you a Black History fact, and then we can throw it to Niele and get out of here. But on this date in 1955, y'all know what happened. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white passenger on a Montgomery, Alabama bus and was arrested. Of course, her courageous stand against racial injustice sparked a 381-day boycott of the Montgomery bus system and led to a 1956 Supreme Court decision banning segregation on public transportation.
Such a pivotal moment in our history. I played Rosa Parks in kindergarten. All I remember is me saying, I don't want to get off the bus. I don't want to get off the bus. I just remember that. No, it was preschool. It was preschool. I was Rosa Parks. But with that being said, so many things to reflect on in Black history. We got Richard Pryor, so make sure you laugh today. And lest we forget Rosa Parks. And for the latest in Black news, you know what to do. You head over to BlackPressUSA, where we keep you updated on the headlines that are impacting our experience. That's www.blackpressusa.com.
See you tomorrow, folks. Thanks.